Shalom, I'm Kevin, and I'm joined today by Armando, and today we're talking about the 2020 film Shiva Baby. Unfortunately, this film came out during the pandemic, which meant I had to watch it online, and it actually placed number 8 in my top 10 of that year. Director and writer Emma Seligman and her lead actress Rachel Sennott have a movie coming out called Bottoms, so I figured it'd be a great time for Armando and I to revisit this project and basically talk about our admiration for it.
Life?
Yeah. Yes, that's my life.
Wow, lucky you.
In the film, our main character, Danielle, played wonderfully by Sanat, is a nameless young woman who is on the verge of starting real life post college. She's having an affair with Max, who is a married man, and he's played by Denny DeFari. After a heated night of passion, Danielle is forced to go to a Shiva with her family. For those of you who do not know, a Shiva is a Jewish tradition that has the family of the deceased being comforted through love, support, and most importantly, food by close friends and family. Danielle, she is not bringing any of that. She's just bringing anxiety and baggage to this event. People bother her about her future. Why doesn't she have a boyfriend? And most importantly, is she eating? Additionally, her friend Maya, played by Molly Gordon, who was her prom date, who was Danielle's prom date, and they also experimented with each other, are there, and she calls out Danielle on her bullshit all the time. But the cherry on top of all this mess is Max, the married man that she's having an affair with. He is there too with his wife, who is beautiful and successful, and played by Glee's Diana Agron. What unfolds over the next 70 minutes is hilarious, awkward, and as the kids today say, cringe. So, Armando, what did you think of it?
Okay, so yeah, this is actually the second time I watched this. So first time I watched it, I'll be honest, it was not exactly what I was expecting from it, but I do think on a rewatch, I thought it was really funny. I think younger people are really good, especially if you're of the age that you're going to college or you're going to that next step in your life, like through adulthood. I feel like it's a lot that like you can relate to through Rachel Sennott's character because she's basically dealing with all these issues where she's kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do in my life. And, it's like she has to deal with all these adults asking her what she's going to do for the future and getting a job and this and that. And I think in a lot of ways, it also adds a lot of, like, this movie is very tense. It's a lot of moments where you're just in one room. So you do really get that feeling of just being stuck in like this situation, which I think the movie really handles well. I think if she wasn't in it, I don't know if the movie. I think she definitely makes the movie. I don't know if it would work as good if her performance wasn't that strong. It's.
Yeah.
I think it really. She has to really carry everything that's going around, and I think she does it well. Like where I feel like if another director did it or like another actor, I can see them like going off the rails or like making it too big or too broad. And I think she does it in a way where it's like it feels it's very mannered, but it feels like realistic. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be like, oh, we're trying to say something, isn't it? Like it doesn't overdo it, but you get the idea that it's
Yeah.
just a very uncomfortable situation. And like I did really like the relationship with her and Molly Gordon's character because I did think like that was a very good like another interesting thing where it was like oh, they had this relationship, but then at the same time, it was like they did have love for each other, even though there's all these other complicated things going around with her life and like with each other's lives. But I thought like their back and forth was really funny at times,
Yes.
like her just. Yeah, I thought like the parts where she would be like talking, where she kind of did seem like she didn't really know what Daniel was up to. It was kind of funny, and then like her kind of find out in real time. I thought that was another way of like kind of showing okay like developing that relationship like in general I thought oh even the parents I thought like I feel like in a worse movie the parents would be like so annoying like you can make it very sitcom like oh they're very overbearing and they kind of are but they're not to the point where it's like oh my god they're so annoying I can't sit through this like they're very caring and but I just always found it funny the dad was always like oh well remember we're paying for everything and we want you to get a job because we're not gonna always be here forever. Which like that stuff is very relatable if you
Yes.
are going to that. You might know, Kel, like going to that next step, and then it's not even that you don't want to do it; that you're trying to go forward. But life sometimes is like okay, it doesn't. There's like roadblocks, and you try and get through. It. And sometimes life just you got to figure out things along the way, and sometimes it's and I think what helps is in this situation, you kind of do get that feeling of, I guess, malaise, that kind of like, oh my God, that feeling of what am I gonna do in my future? And I think that was what really like worked for me this time around. Like, it's not like it is funny, but it's like a different kind of funny where I can't say, oh my God, like don't if you're watching this and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like Dumb and Dumber, like don't go in with that expectation. It's definitely like a lot more of a smarter, like very specific, like it's very well written, but it's going for a very specific thing that if you're willing to go with it, I do think it's worth checking out when you get a chance. And like I hope whatever this director does and whatever Rachel Sennott is in, I'll check it out at any time.
This is based upon the director and writer Emma Seligman. This is her short film. I think it was her thesis at NYU, and
Okay,
that's
right. I
where
think
she met
yeah, right.
Rachel Sennott, and they were friends.
Yeah.
And if you watched, I think you can find the short film, and
It's somewhere, I think. Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't see it, but I'll check it out.
yeah, check it out. And um, Danielle in that short, she's still confused, but she is not as jaded as she is in this movie. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that they took that short film, they studied it, say, okay, we're gonna make this a feature film,
Yeah.
and here's what we're gonna change. But as you said, they kept Sanat, and because I think Sanat, this is what made me a fan of her. And in my book, she's 2 for 2 with movies. I have not watched The Idol. I know she was on The Idol.
She's really good in that. I
She's
really
in it.
liked her in that.
I'll
Yeah, I
take
think
your word
yeah,
for it.
I
But
think if you're I think you'll like her in it. I don't know how you'll feel about the whole thing, but I think what you like of her in these other things that we've reviewed, you'll at least appreciate what she's doing in that.
yeah, because I thought she was a very big high point of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I thought she
Mhm.
was really funny in that movie.
Yeah, she really was.
She's
Yeah.
very naive, and she was this very,
Yeah.
spacey, it's like a space
Yeah.
cadet kind of character. And that's
Mhm.
not the same character as she's playing here. Here she's very anxiety ridden. I thought projected anxiety quite well through the use of sonat, through the use of the constant like maybe it was a guitar, an instrument. I don't really know instruments. It was like
Mhm.
this plucking a few strings every time things got
Yeah.
heated in that
Right. Mhm.
that house. And I was thinking, it's very smart because everything, as you said in your little review, that is condensed into that one area. And if you have anxiety and you're running into people you don't want, you want to be involved with, and they're asking you questions, it just adds to that anxiety because you can't escape.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I thought Molly Gordon was really good. Molly Gordon, for our viewers, she was just in The Bear,
Yeah.
and she was in theater camp with Ben Platt.
Mhm.
So she's starting to rise up, and she was in
Booksmart.
Booksmart also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought she was very good. She had a very realistic spiciness to her.
Yeah.
She didn't put up with Daniel's bullshit, and I thought that was
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
And I also thought that Diana Agron was very good. She was very passive aggressive at points, and I think one of my
Yeah.
favorite scenes in my second rewatch that I noticed a little bit more is when she realizes that her husband is cheating on her with Danielle.
Mhm.
And I didn't mention it in the summary, but Danielle hides behind the job and saying, "Yeah, I'm a babysitter. I just do."
Babysitter, right? Yeah.
And then Diana Agron gives her the baby, saying, "Hold her, hold her." And they
Mhm.
amplify the noise of the baby screaming, and Sanat basically sells it. She's like, "Oh shit," she's calling me out my bullshit. And
Mhm.
it's
Right.
just, it just adds to, the one high point of this movie I really liked, which is I don't have anxiety, but I felt anxious in that scene. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were talking about the parents, and that's the parents' names. I want to give them shout out. It's Fred Melmad
Yeah.
and Polly Draper, and they are stereotypical Jewish parents. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood, and
Mhm.
maybe this is why I like the movie a little more than other people, because I think it's a
Mhm.
very realistic depiction of how naggy they can be.
Yeah.
The parents mean well,
Yeah.
but they could come off as naggy.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah.
And they have Sanat and Seligman are teaming up again.
Mhm.
And they have bombs coming out, and it's a different kind of movie. And I'm interested to see if they could do the raunchiness as good as they do this type of movie. So
Yeah.
overall, I really enjoyed this, and it's on HBO Max, guys. If I saw it in the theater the second time, but originally it was on HBO Max, and you saw it on what?
I saw it on Canopy. If you get a library account, you can go on Canopy and watch
Yeah,
it.
three
Yeah.
those. Yeah, so you can see it that way, and I'm gonna give this one. I'll give this one 4 out of 5 Sanat hair pieces. How about you?
Yeah. Think I'm the same. I'm giving it 4 out of 5. yeah, really, it was a big turnaround this time. Like, really appreciated it on a turnaround. Like, that's why sometimes it's worth watching these movies again because sometimes you watch the first time you don't know what it's doing, then watching it again. I think especially if you're young and you're like in that time of not knowing what to do. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in there now. It really did give me something to kind of connect to in that way. But I also think it's just a all around just a really well made movie too.
Direction's great, the writing's great, the
Mhm.
performances are great, and overall I had a really good time with this. But
Yeah.
what did you guys think? Have you seen it? This movie's been out for 3 years. It's nothing new, but as I said, Bottoms is coming out, and I just want to revisit it and give the director and everyone involved in this some credit. Come to the site, you know, disagree with us, agree with us, throw us a comment, and also, check out a lot of videos we do. We do a lot of podcasts, and Armando, I think you and I will probably do the Bottoms review together. It
Yeah, we
sounds
will. I'll let you know when it
yeah.
comes out. Hopefully, it does actually come out when it's about like here soon. I think next week or something. They said it's coming out. I
Yeah,
think
and
so.
I'll definitely probably see it opening
Yeah.
weekend or a few days
Mhm.
after Friday
Yeah.
comes out. But
Right.
all right, guys, definitely drop us a line, and thanks for listening. I am Kevin,
I'm Armando.
and as we say on the sites, cheers.
Cheers.